Our top stories tonight: the safety of Nquthu council members in KwaZulu-Natal highlighted as the council remains leaderless. Senior ANC members warn that if the party doesn't fix its mistakes, it could lose in the 2019 elections. This is eNews Direct Weekend Edition. I'm Flo Ledwaba. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hello from me, Jeffrey Stevens, and welcome.
You can track our main stories tonight using the following hashtags: hashtag ANC, hashtag Steve Biko.
You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNews Direct, or check our content at our website eNCA.com/direct.
But first we start with this. Council members at the Nquthu Municipality in KwaZulu-Natal are fearing for their safety following security concerns. The Northern KwaZulu-Natal Council has been without a leader since the elections. The municipality has placed under administration in October after several failed bids to elect new office bearers. It's also affected the Umzimnyati District Council, stalling the process to reconstitute that municipality. Provincial government officials have had to step in to ensure that service delivery continues uninterrupted.
Nquthu council members have failed to see eye to eye since the August elections. Now, their differences have reached boiling point.
So as we were on our way there were issues of security concerns that then were advised by the security institutions to actually not proceed with the meeting, because, there were serious issues of concern related to security.
Tuesday's meeting was the sixth failed attempt to secure a council sitting. First, there was a controversial election of municipal leaders, which was deemed illegal. Then came two separate court cases over which councillors should represent the EFF and NFP. The department says tensions between political parties continue to simmer. In August, the DA's councillor there claimed he had to go into hiding after allegedly receiving death threats.
As we have said, that we always remain ready to proceed, but of course we can't ignore advice on security by competent institutions. Issues beyond our control.
A chief executive officer from the department was deployed to Nquthu in October to ensure the day-to-day running of the municipality continues.
There was also an outcry from the community, and we had to do this intervention so that we can continue to drive service delivery while the political parties were sorting out their own political matters.
Government says it will continue to assess the situation in Nquthu before attempting to reconvene the council. Judith Subin, Durban.
The ANC is again being warned to self-reflect. NEC member Joel Nquthu says his party will receive a huge shock in the 2019 general elections if it doesn't make serious changes now. He says the ANC must revive its tainted brand in the coming year.
Analysts say a lot of work is going on behind the scenes ahead of next year's ANC elective conference.
What we're seeing now is the gathering of very powerful voices outside of those official structures saying that because of our role inside the ANC, we have a right to influence and discuss that process. And I think that that's the significance. The outsiders trying to contain the insiders in terms of the succession debate.
Party heavyweights are increasingly acknowledging the crisis the party finds itself in.
There is an element of what the Greeks call hubris, a defiance of the gods, which can only result in what the Greeks call nemesis, which is self-destruction. From the strange things that are happening at SARS, in the Hawks, the NPA.
Speaking at the Umkhonto Caesar Veterans meeting on Saturday, Nquthu said it's time to get rid of the rots in the ANC.
The beneficiaries of corruption and state capture will not give up without a fight.
He says the public protector states of capture reports, fictionalism and internal scandals have knocked the public trust in the party. And the recent local government election results sent a strong message.
Now it's not just the fickleness of the middle class. In fact, the biggest declines were in the Northwest first, Limpopo second, and I think Gauteng third. So even in the rural areas, we're starting to experience difficulties.
The ANC won 54% of the votes nationally, but lost control of influential economic hubs, including Johannesburg. Khalihle Khumalo, Johannesburg.
Over 3,000 motorists have been arrested countrywide since the 1st of December for offences including drunk driving and speeding. Most of the arrests were in Gauteng, where 1,600 motorists have been detained. Traffic officials have been conducting roadblocks throughout the country in an effort to reduce road fatalities during the festive season. Meanwhile, police in Gauteng are being kept on their toes. They've arrested around 1,000 people for various crimes this weekend alone. Google is honouring the life of Steve Biko on his birthday. The Black consciousness leader would have turned 70 today. Biko was killed in police custody in 1977. The Black consciousness movement has seen a resurgence in recent years. It's an ideology that aims to make people aware of how their skin colour impacts their life experiences. The movement also seeks to liberate people's personal and political outlooks. Biko's death made him a symbol of resistance to the repressive apartheid government. A British anti-apartheid campaigner who was expelled from university for his role in protests has been awarded an honorary degree 46 years later. Pete Cresswell led demonstrations and an occupation of a university building against Liverpool University's links with apartheid South Africa. He spoke to our UK correspondent Natalie Powell.
These are black and white pictures from March 1970 of Liverpool University's anti-apartheid student protests.
The main incident was an occupation of the Senate House, and the reason for that was the presence of Lord Salisbury as the Chancellor of the University, extreme right-winger, and he devoted his political career to the prevention of democracy. Also, the university had investments in South Africa and refused to disclose the full details of those. So because of that, we made our protest.
So you staged a sit-in and it lasted for quite a while? 2
weeks. It lasted for 2 weeks, yeah. If I'm honest, I suppose we had the time of our lives, really, but not particularly comfortable. But there was a great camaraderie amongst the people there, about 300 of us, sleeping on floors and so on. But it was fantastic spirit there because we believed in what we were fighting for.
Pete is now being recognised as having been on the right side of history, with Liverpool University awarding him an honorary degree.
As compensation, I guess, for the degree which I didn't get. My final expulsion was just a few weeks before my final exams, so I would have got a degree of some sort. So 46 years later, I got an honorary degree, and I guess we finally made peace with the university.
Do you regret getting expelled?
I'm asked that question often, and the only way I can answer is to say that if I were to be in some sort of groundhog scenario and live through those events 1,000 times over as a 22-year-old student in 1970, I'd always do exactly the same thing again. And I still believe in the things that we're fighting for.
Natalie Powell, London.
In Syria, the evacuation of Aleppo has hit another glitch. Rebels have attacked and burnt buses that were en route to fetch the sick and injured from the war-torn city. Yesterday, a new deal was struck to remove citizens from Aleppo and 2 other villages.
Desperate to get out. These residents have been fleeing war-torn Aleppo since Thursday as gunfire rings out, despite a ceasefire.
This is the place where buses were supposed to move civilians out of Aleppo. Right now, they are being targeted with bullets.
but thousands more remain stranded. Dozens of buses are parked in the area, waiting for the go-ahead to ferry residents to safety. While those who've sided with the opposition seek a new beginning elsewhere, some Aleppo residents want to rebuild their lives. A small group was allowed to return to the city's historic citadel yesterday for the first time in 4 years. And amid the devastation, there was even time for photos. Forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad defended the citadel during the civil war. The Syrian government has pledged to repair the damage to the World Heritage Site.
I was afraid to come, but they encouraged me and brought me here. I did not find anything. If the citadel was not with the army, you would have seen more damage.
Aleppo has been divided between government and rebel areas in the nearly 6-year-long war. But a ceasefire deal was reached after Syrian forces seized control of the city after a month of intense fighting. Thousands of kilometers away in London, hundreds demonstrated against Syria's civil war. The protesters marched from Trafalgar Square chanting, "Save Syria" and "Stop the massacre." They want greater action from Western leaders.
Well, that's it from the news desk for now. Thank you very much, Jeff. Well, coming up after the break, 3 young South African women will spend next year in the UK after winning a leadership award from Queen Elizabeth. Do stay with us. Right, thanks for staying with us. 3 South African women will be awarded the Queen's Young Leaders Award in England next year. Queen Elizabeth is honouring exceptional youngsters from Commonwealth nations who uplift their communities. The local winners are part of a group of 60 who will spend a year in the UK where they'll receive training and mentoring.
These young women have captured Queen Elizabeth's attention. The English monarch has chosen their community development projects from thousands of entries to receive the Queen's Young Leaders Award. One of the projects, educating athletes, motivates youngsters to complete their schooling years while developing careers in sport at the same time.
We work predominantly with marginalised youth, and through financial assistance and holistic character development, we assist youth to finish their education.
The Africa Matters initiative, started by Farai Mubaiwa, brings together youth from across the continent to discuss identity and leadership.
It's about decolonizing the mind of the young African so that we can be proud of who we are, so we can embrace what is Afrocentric. So we host workshops, we host summits as well, and we want to create platforms of critical engagement where we can discuss what is African feminism, what is African leadership.
And civil engineer Aditi Lachman tackles the skills and gender gap in engineering through her project Women Eng.
Our 1 Million Girls in STEM campaign aims to reach 1 million girls through science, technology, engineering, mathematics, education and awareness initiatives within the next 10 years in at least 10 different countries.
These go-getters hope the award will inspire other young South Africans. Artie Narsi, Cape Town.
Well, Port Elizabeth has caught the festive bug. The Windy City is well known for its beautiful Christmas lights. Thousands of people are flocking to the city after dark to take a look at the displays. The number of decorated homes has declined this year, but those who are lighting up the city are pulling out all the stops, as some homeowners are also using the opportunity to raise money for charity.
I do it because I can see the pleasure it brings in the child. And even the elderly, you know, we all still little children inside, and it gives me great pleasure. It's over the years, and every year you try and actually build on it and add to it, because people don't want to see the same things all over again, so you try and always bring in new stuff, make it interesting and so on.
When I started with the light, it was more for fun.
And then the people starting to want to give me money for it, and I didn't want to take it. And then we started to say, okay, let's do it for a fundraiser, and and for the children to see the smiles on the children's faces.
We got 34,000 LEDs this year, run through Cat5 controllers which come off the laptop computer, and we program all the music in and synchronize the lights to that.
Right after the break, Candace has your weather forecast.
It's been a scorching hot Sunday over parts of South Africa's interior, with a heatwave advisory in place over parts of the Northern Cape, the Free State and the Northwest until Tuesday, as well as the interior part of the Eastern Cape up until Monday. It'll be an uncomfortably hot day over parts of the Northern Cape, with isolated to scattered thundershowers over the northeastern and eastern parts, with thundershowers reaching the south coast of KwaZulu-Natal late on Monday night. We're also forecasting some light evening rainfall over the southern parts, with the possibility of fog along the northern and western Cape coastline. Here's that sizzling hot weather for KwaZulu-Natal, with most highs in the upper 30s. Dry over the northeastern parts with scattered thundershowers in the west, and we'll see thundershowers reaching Durban much later on in the day. Sizzling hot weather continues, especially over the interior part of the Eastern Cape, with thundershowers for much of the province. 30 degrees for East London, 27 for Port Elizabeth, with a chance of light evening rain extending all the way through to Mossel Bay. Mostly sunny for Cape Town at 26, with highs still heading into the 30s over the interior part of the Western Cape, and comfortably hot over parts of the Northern Cape, 42 for Uppington and Prieska, with the possibility of some fog along the coast. Thundershowers are forecast over the eastern and northern part of the Free State, 38 for Bloemfontein and for Reesmith, just shy of 40 for Vryburg, with the rest of the highs in the mid-30s for the northwest, with the possibility of thundershowers, and thundershowers extend through to the western and southwestern part of Limpopo. Zanin partly cloudy at 32. Partly cloudy at 37 for Skukuza, with highs in the upper 20s and low 30s over the central and western part of Mpumalanga, with scattered thundershowers extending through to Gauteng, 32 for Johannesburg and Pretoria, topping 34 degrees. We'll see some rain along the Eastern Cape coastline on Tuesday, with hot weather and thundershowers mainly over the northeastern and eastern parts. Dry weather continues in the west all the way through to Wednesday, with a few showers along the east coast, and we'll also start to see a few thundershowers extending through to the central parts. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great week.
Right, here's a recap of our top stories. The safety of Nquthu council members in KwaZulu-Natal highlighted as council remains leaderless. Senior ANC members warned that if the party doesn't fix its mistakes, it could lose in the 2019 elections. Well, that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.